I think there is no way to prepare for such a position. I had the chance and advantage that I grew up in the company, I knew the company, I was very enthusiastic about all the new technology. I did some crazy ATM networking stuff even before I started managing a company, so I had some experience, but I was definitely not prepared. Or the one thing that I could really agree with my father at that time was Lawo was purely DACH region, Germany, Austria at that time. And he said, well, if you're doing all that expensive digital developments, you have to go international. All the rest we disagreed, but that part worked out, so that was my first priority, and he supported it, which worked out very well. As you know, we managed with the audio consoles to conquer the world quite fastly and made subsidiaries everywhere. So by, I would say, 2005, 2006, basically Lawo was present in all continents. Worked out pretty well. We're still doing World Cups and Olympics and all that stuff, and as a result I started thinking about what's going to be next. And so we were more driven by the customers on a project basis to do what they want to do, which is nothing wrong with that, but a very German style. When you go international, you start to understand all the international requirements, and your product line starts looking like a product line and not like a custom-built solution anymore. And as a result, with the international business, and also to a certain degree the involvement in the big events like the World Cups, the Olympics and others, we started to get more and more understanding of what the application is like and what customers might want to be interested in as a next generation product, and not that much as just a single solution for a specific project. So we could come up with our own strategy on product development and where we want to go as a company with our product development, more independent from specific markets, because globally there is no specific requirement anymore. So we could merge all the different requirements and ideas and come up with some obviously quite good solutions. Yes, we have a vision, but I think it needs a little bit more than a vision. It needs some luck. 1998 was an interesting year for the company, not because I took over, but that was the year where we launched the first ATM-based audio infrastructure. And even ATM didn't make it finally as the world standard of networking. It was the first solution of Lawo, and I would say in the industry, when a standard technology was chosen as the backbone core infrastructure of broadcast application that was not specifically developed for broadcast. So as a continuation, I started founding ALC Network to come up with a Ravenna standard, which led into A67, having built up all that internal knowledge about IP infrastructure. The downside of that being a pure audio company at that time was, you know, audio is a very important thing, but in the TV world, it's just a little brother, maybe the little sister about the important stuff, which is called video. All the network, all the bandwidth, everything's going to be defined by video, all the workflows and so on. So it was very logical that if we're going to survive as an independent driving player in that industry, you have to do video. Not really. I mean, right in the beginning, and that goes back to 2000, 2002, there might have been, or there were definitely some German customers that have been disappointed by the fact that Lawo would not be willing anymore to paint the console in the color they wish. And it goes really down to these things, the color of a button or the design of a stand. Well, I have to say I really apologize for the fact that they have been disappointed, but it is, you have to decide either way. Either you're going to go the custom-built solution, which is obviously a one-by-one approach, or you try to do a good product line and solve 80% of the market instead of one and be more efficient. We choose the second one and did 80%. We have always been a company that hopefully treats people well, respects their interest, give them certain freedom to develop own ideas, but to contribute to the whole solution. And I would say as much as we're seeking for more people today, because we're growing quite fast and it's difficult to find them, they have always come to us because there was a good ground for nice growth and new ideas. So, by itself. If you're talking about R&D and the technical guys, I would say yes, definitely. Because I think that's like the core, the heart of the system, where all the new technology and all the new ideas come from. So, and I'm personally very much involved in that product strategy, because I think that's the entrepreneurship at a final stage, to decide where the strategy of the company is going and what we're going to be interested in the future. So yes, the R&D side, the product strategy side, that's really my thing. Because of the size of the company today, I don't know everybody by name. And sometimes, as I said, we're fastly growing. I meet people on the aisle where I say hello and think might be a customer, but it's just a new guy working for us. But I think that's okay. I both treat them respectful. Speaking about VSM, it's a product that's about 20 years on the market, has grown, has seen all the change in the digital domain. VSM today is the de facto standard for any kind of legacy control. And it has developed very nicely in the industry, not only in Europe, also in Asia and Oceania and North America and so on, when it comes to building a common workflow layer on top of any third-party devices, integrating all different manufacturers, replacing proprietary solutions with the agnostic control surface, including the workflow management and the business logic. In the future, and I can't tell you if that's going to be 2 years or 5 years, it will go back to that as soon as the industry has learned and understood how to deal with IP-based digital interface. And we have picked the audio, the video, and the control part to be integrated, which obviously takes a bit more effort than just the audio and control, or the video and the control. So it's a bit of an additional requirement. But on the IP side, obviously perfectly integrates the Lawo stuff, but is also open to any switch manufacturer and third-party IP video audio device if they commit and contribute to these standards, like SMPTE 2110, MWA, NMOS stuff, and so on. So as long as we stay in that discipline, I would say VSM is the universal tool to get it done. I think there was 5 years since we started to show the first SDI connector at Lawo. At that time, and that's surprising, it's just 5 years ago. It was called SDI dock because we thought it's going to be an embedded de-embedder engine. Showed to be much more. And today I would say it's one of the standard devices on each OB truck. Is a Swiss Army knife to do any kind of glue features in a transmission chain. People were quite respectful with what we delivered, not only because the product was good, but also the company properly dealt with it and was able to show that we start growing into that video world. As a result, it was very clear to me when the Pro 8 got successful, and so far people that never have talked to Lawo, coming from the video side, were at least starting to talk to us, that now is going to be the right time to take the video thing and put it on the IP route. To what we showed last year, or launched last year with the V-Line Matrix, which is now going to be the basically virtualized software-defined infrastructure that now holds multi-viewers and all kind of glue and edge conversion and codecs and you name it, as the flexible blade server engine to run any kind of video application on it. We're just a little fraction of that bigger world, and to properly adapt into that, learning the language of the other guys, respecting them, starting to communicate them, and honestly also honor the value they bring to us, and not thinking we know everything. We obviously don't, but making use out of that, making that available as an added service and value to the broadcast world, that's maybe the biggest challenge right now. To get the people who want to do that and who can bridge between these two worlds. In some parts for sure. Yeah. I'm not saying that I'm always happy with it, because at that time we've been a very much engineering driven organization, which still exists, which I like to do, but it's not necessarily a commercial right thing to do. But there's for sure one part that stays, and I'd like to keep that. That's the family kind of business. We don't want to be a corporate organization with a lot of policies and rules. I'm personally, I like this industry because it's a small industry. You know the people. You can make a deal with a handshake. You have trust in each other, and as much as I like that about the industry, I'd like to keep it this way in our company. And that's definitely something that comes from my father. I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see a big change in that industry in general. Where obviously the technology change, but also the budget change in general in the TV production and so on. Making TV is not a secret anymore. It was some years ago, where you needed a good handful of good engineers to understand the whole glass-to-glass approach. But today it takes an iPhone to make TV, where this whole industry for more than 100 years has been driven purely by technically quality improvements. We went from analog to digital, from black and white to color, from SD to HD, from mono to stereo to 5.1. But what's next? Yeah, there will be immersive sound with 2022.2, there might be Atmos and others, there might be 4K and HDR. I would not think that any of my family would request a broadcaster to upgrade his transmission because there is a better quality he expects to see. Yes, we're going to get 4K and HDR and maybe some immersive sound, but with the same budgets. There is no improvement, there is no driving force in the market anymore that comes from the quality improvement on technology side. It's purely driven by costs and content. And I think Lawo is very well prepared to, from the technology side as well as on the understanding of application and customer needs side, to support that with fast changes, which means I would say in a few years the 50th anniversary is going to see a much bigger Lawo corporation than what you know today. It's going to be hard to find a single one that is the one. Maybe there's one thing I'm personally happy about. That is the fact that I think, with all truths, I can say this is not only my business environment. This is an environment where customers become friends. And as much as I say, or would be allowed to say that over the years, I won a lot of friends. I never lost one. And maybe that's a very good thing to say, that this industry, after 20 years now, is becoming a kind of a family or kind of a friendship to a lot of people, even good competitors. And that's real fun. But it's not specific to a single event. It's more a life developing in that industry.